OC. Viewer discretion is advised. Incoming transmission in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
What's up, everybody? It's Courtney here from the Outcasted OC podcast, and welcome to the Monday Night Raw review. Now, you might be asking yourself, Courtney, why are you wearing your hoodie? I don't know, because it's really cold in my room, and I really want to feel nice and comfortable while I'm filming. Winter has actually kind of come early in New Zealand, and it's freezing, so do not mind me trying to keep myself warm. I really enjoyed Monday Night Raw this week. I think they continued from the momentum from WWE Backlash, and they're really propelling the storylines and the matches and the tournament towards King of the Ring. So let's not waste any more time talking about what might have happened in terms of like a quick summary. Let's get into it. So we started off Monday Night Raw this week with a Backlash video recap. Now, if you have not had the chance to go and watch Backlash, first of all, what are you doing? And secondly, you really missed out on an amazing show. So they just recapped a couple of the matches and spoke about it a little bit. We saw the Judgment Day come out. They made their way out to the ring, all four of the boys as well too, which I was really happy to see my boys all in the same area, all with each other again after what we saw at Backlash. Damien starts off by saying that main event Jey Uso, France loved him, but he's still the world heavyweight champion right now, and he wants to speak about what happened with the Judgment Day at Backlash. Now, obviously, we know that he got upset with JD and Finn for trying to assist in his match with Jey Uso. He very much wanted to do it on its own, and Finn was like, look, I've apologized as much as I can. We all have apologized as much as we can. At the end of the day, we mean it when we say that we are really, really sorry. Damien's like, I kind of actually really want to address what happened after the match. I lost my cool, but you and JD have done nothing but stick by me, and I appreciate you, and we're going to show everybody why we are the most dominant faction out there. Finn goes and says that Drew McIntyre is not in the King of the Ring tournament anymore. He has been pulled due to a medical reason with his shoulder and with his arm. He said that he might not be in the King of the Ring tournament, but he's going to get through on a bye, and that he is going to come from being a prince into becoming a king. Adam Pearce comes out and he's like, nah, like, we're not having this. You're not getting by like that. If you are going to earn this title of King of the Ring, you are going to earn it by actually winning the matches. So who else are we going to put you in the ring with other than Jey Uso? So we had Finn versus Jey, and I'm a little bit sick of seeing the two of them fight all the time. I actually really thought to myself this would be a perfect opportunity to chuck Dijak in there. Dijak's just been called up to Raw from NXT. I feel like putting him in this King of the Ring tournament would have been an amazing way to start his time on Monday Night Raw again. But unfortunately, Adam Pearce does not agree with what women have to say, or just doesn't, think that would have been a great idea. So we had another match between Finn and Jey. Very similar to how we've seen it in the past. Very similar match to what we have seen in the past. We had a couple of roll-ups by Finn at the beginning, and then he ends up taking charge. Jey ends up hitting a couple of blows and slaps Finn, and we see a really nice basement drop kick coming in from Finn Balor, and then he starts working Jey on the ground. He hits him in a really nice submission move, but then Jey Uso sends Finn Balor flying, and then Finn ends up taking control of the match. Jey Uso turns it around during the commercial break, and Jey looks in control when Finn explodes out of the corner. He hits that second gear. Balor sets up for the coup de grace. We see Uso come in for the Uso splash. Drew McIntyre makes his way out through the crowd, and he's like standing outside of the ring, and obviously both of the men are quite distracted by this, but Jey Uso hits the Uso spear to come away with the win. I was really, really annoyed. I'm so annoyed. This whole making the prince into a king gimmick, it's actually a really good thing, and I feel like we absolutely fumbled it by not having Finn win this. Like, I'm getting to the point where I'm sick and tired of Finn Balor not winning. Like, I know that they're saving him for Damien, but I wish we got to see Finn Balor win this. So we head backstage. We see Ivy Nile is warming up in the locker room, as well as Zoe Stark is doing some pull-ups backstage. They're obviously preparing for their match later on in the evening, and Becky Lynch has arrived to Monday Night Raw. We find that she's going to be having an interview segment with Michael Cole. Then, what they've been doing throughout this entire episode of Monday Night Raw is they've been planting the seeds for the main event, which is Gunther versus Sheamus. Obviously, this is the third time we'll get to see them wrestle. We got a video recap from Clash at the Castle a couple of years ago, and then we get another video recap later on in the evening. Drew runs into Adam Pearce, and he's arguing with him backstage. He's fed up by the fact that obviously he's now been pulled from the King of the Ring tournament, and Adam's like, look, if you hadn't have said this out loud, we wouldn't have done medical checks, we wouldn't have pulled you, like, this is all your own doing. And he's like, screw you. He hops in this car, he drives off and leaves. And then CM Punk is like the next car that comes in behind, like after the frame. And he comes in, he runs into Adam and he's like, look, I'm so sorry, I'm late. I literally just got out of HQ. So I don't know if this whole thing with CM Punk getting stuck in the WWE headquarters is actually like a real thing or if he was just, I don't know. But anyway, so there's a real cool shot where CM Punk's walking from backstage. He's like, Adam, tell the truck to hit my music, blah, blah, blah. So he comes out, makes his way out to the ring. And everyone is super excited to see CM Punk. I'm super excited to see Pepsi Phil. I feel like anytime Pepsi Phil gets on the mic, that it's a great time. And I never know what is going to come out of this man's mouth, but I love it. So he came out, he said it's good to be alive on Monday. Obviously, I finally made it here. Apologies for being late. I was stuck inside the headquarters. And he said that he wanted to fight with Drew McIntyre if they got the chance to run into each other, but unfortunately, Drew has actually left the building. And he said, I'm going to stay here for as long as it takes for Drew McIntyre to come back. Drew McIntyre will come back and fight me if he is not a coward. He said, Drew DDT'd me at Royal Rumble. And, you know, he thought this was going to ruin my WrestleMania moment, but I had a good cry. I got some surgery. And this is technically kind of postponed WrestleMania for me, but I'm a jack of all trades. I can do quite a lot of different things. And, you know, I went and did commentary and I've done backstage work and I've done this and I've done this. But Drew McIntyre is nothing but a tool. He said he can run his mouth in any way, shape, or form every single week, but he doesn't realize that he is encountering the pettiest man on the roster or even just the pettiest man on earth. And I literally, as soon as I clocked this, I absolutely screamed. He goes ahead and he quotes Kendrick Lamar from the diss track where he's like, I hate the way you walk, I hate the way you talk. He was going ham, and I was like, oh my god, I love you, Pepsi Phil. Thank you so much for bringing this Kendrick beef to the forefront because, so good. And then Shawn Michaels called out Kendrick and was like, if you want to like sort your issues out, you can come to NXT. Crazy week to be a wrestling fan, I'll tell you that much. So CM Punk continues to say that, you know, is this a situation, Drew, where you hate me or do you hate yourself? But he says, whenever I see you next, I'm not only going to break your face and I'm going to break your heart and it's going to be a living nightmare and everything. So whenever that moment hits where they finally get to face off against each other, I think is going to be a crazy moment. I'm really hoping they save this for SummerSlam. I think it's going to be a massive match for SummerSlam. Kathy Kelly catches up with Ricochet before his match against Ilya Dragunov for the King of the Ring tournament, and he's basically asked, you know, how does he feel about this match? And Ricochet says that it's my chance to go ahead and show why I'm the greatest and show off my skills. Braun Strowman interrupts, and he goes ahead and shakes or hugs Ricochet in some way, shape, or form. Obviously, if you don't know, they were a tag team at one point in time. Braun Strowman says to Ricochet that he can't stand bullies. That's why he got involved in the Judgment Day's mess last week and tells Ricochet to go get him. So we move on to the first match for the ladies. Now, this is one of the first matches for the Queen of the Ring tournament, where we see Io Sky facing off against Natalya, and I was pleasantly surprised by this match. I was really liking Natalya's ring work. I feel like it meshed very well with Io Sky in this match. There's a lot of groundwork from both of them from the beginning. They were very much trying to tire each other out. You could see Natalya was trying to soften Io, and Io goes for the moonsault, but then we end up seeing Natalya throwing Io into the ring apron outside of the ring. We see a really nice springboard coming in from Io Sky, and then we hit a commercial break. But when we come back, Natalya is in control. She hits a really nice superplex on Io, and we see Io locking in the STF and hits Natalya with a stomp and a drop kick. Then we see Natalya almost put Io away, but then Io ends up countering the sharpshooter. She hits a double knees and a moonsault to take away the win, so Io Sky is moving on in the Queen of the Ring tournament. Then Dakota hits the mic and she says, 2 years ago we took over Monday Night Raw and we're putting everybody on notice, and unfortunately Asuka is out of the tournament due to an injury, but I will be taking her place and we will remind everybody why Damage Control is on top and they will be taking over. One thing I'm really vibing with on Monday Night Raw since the draft is the NXT video packages that we are getting for the NXT call-ups. So we had an Ilya Dragunov video package which I really enjoyed, and this actually took us into the match between Ilya and Ricochet, and I cannot give you enough words with how this match made me feel, how awesome it was. I feel like this and the main event for me were the best matches of the night. Pairing Ilya with somebody like Ricochet, his high-flying moves, and just Ilya's just continual way that he goes ahead and just absolutely grinds down on his opponents was just absolutely insane. I could not keep my eyes off of what was happening. First 30 seconds of this match was absolutely crazy. I could not write any notes down because both Ricochet and Ilya were doing some really crazy sequencing, but Ilya ends up getting in control after this sequence and he hits a really nice chop onto Ricochet and a step up enziguri, and then we end up seeing Ricochet hit a flying knee. After the commercial break, Ricochet goes flying, hits a really nice shooting star press, and we see Ilya hitting 2 German suplexes. He ends up dropping Ricochet outside of the ring and hits a really nice springboard. Ricochet ends up countering this with a really solid hurricanrana. He hits 2 suicide dives as well too, and we see the Constantine special coming in from Ilya Dragunov. He ends up chopping Ricochet. Ricochet is just going absolutely nuts. Ilya gets into another gear and he ends up hitting the H-bomb to come away with the win. I was screaming during this entire match because I wanted to see Ricochet win and I wanted to see Ilya win, and that's how these matches should be. You should want to see both of these people win, but personally I think Ilya winning this was probably the best call that you could have made because Ilya is new to the main roster, he's well deserving of it, he's a former NXT champion, he's got all of these credentials against his name that if you're going to bring him up from NXT, you need to prove to everybody why he is one of the greats. Then Jackie Redmond is catching up with Sheamus backstage, and obviously they're really trying to hype up this match with him and Gunther. Sheamus is like, look, I've had banger after banger after banger for all these years, and I feel like the idea of King Gunther is not really what we want to see, and I'm going to go ahead and kick his ass tonight. We have our second Queen of the Ring tournament qualifying match, which we see Zoe Stark taking on Ivy Nile. Now, this match was a little bit shorter than the one between Io and Natalya, but it did a really great job at showing both Zoe and Ivy's skills within the ring. Zoe takes control of the match from the beginning, and then Ivy hits a really nice, long-lasting vertical suplex. She holds Zoe up in the air for quite some time. Zoe hits a missile dropkick, Ivy hits a bulldog, Zoe gets in control, hits a really nice move, and then ends up getting like a 2 count. It was very similar to like a missile dropkick. Then Zoe ends up turning Ivy Nile inside out, hits the Z360 and comes away with the win. I personally think this was really the right move. I need to see Zoe Stark being pushed on the main roster ASAP, and I'm really hoping that we get this. But one thing I was kind of confused about is then we cut backstage and we have this segment with like The Miz and Truth, and honestly it just really confused me what was going on. There was somebody who's done ice hockey or so, I don't even know. Like the Miz and Miz and Truth at this point, I just genuinely have no idea what's going on. I'm just excited to see Truth, but you know, I couldn't even tell you what happened because Truth is just living in La La Land right now. Following that awkward interaction, Adam Pearce ends up having another awkward interaction when Bron Breakker finds him, and he is visibly frustrated and upset by the fact that he is not in the King of the Ring tournament and he has been snubbed from it. Adam's like, look, let's go to my office, let's have a chat about it. Then we go to the Judgment Day Clubhouse where they're talking about, you know, taking care of Bron Breakker. And apparently JD's going to be the one to take care of Bron Breakker, which I don't think is going to happen. I feel like the man is going to get folded in half. Carlito ends up coming into the Judgment Day Clubhouse with Dominic Mysterio. Everyone's like, what is he doing here? Like the last time you know how it was. It was like the last time you brought someone in, things didn't go the way they were supposed to go. And Carlito's intention for being there is basically to say, like, if you help me with the LWO, I'll help you with whatever it is. You scratch my back, I scratch yours, which Damien's like, nah, get him out. But I feel like Damien will maybe come around. I think he's just upset because Carlito took that moment away from him last year at Backlash. But hey, he's the World Heavyweight Champion, so let's think about the present. And how can we think more about the present than talking about the next match that happened on Monday Night Raw, which was Bronson Reed taking on Chad Gable. Now, this was not a match. It wasn't even like 3 minutes because this is to further a storyline. But anyway, Bronson overpowers Chad. Chad hits a really nice German suplex. Then Bronson is trying to go for a senton and he finally ends up catching it. We see a really crazy throw coming in from Chad Gable, but Sammy comes into the ring and interrupts the match, and he ends up going after Bronson and he ends up brawling with Chad, but Bronson ends up going after Sammy. So there was no winner in this match, but this is pretty much just to set up something for King of the Ring, which Bronson ends up walking backstage and he runs into Adam Pearce, and Adam's like, what are you doing? And then we see Bronson go ahead and say that if you want to take control, you know what you need to do. And now obviously this is alluding to something that I'll be talking about very, very soon. But as I said earlier with the Ilya Dragunov video package, we have one for Lyra Valkyria, and this is a really great way for people to get to know these NXT call-ups who may have not even seen them before. They might not be an NXT fan, who knows? But irregardless, we got to learn a little bit more about Lyra Valkyria, obviously ahead of her match with Dakota Kai later on this evening. Gunther is backstage talking about King of the Ring and how he is soon going to be King of the Ring and he wants to add prestige back to it. Then Becky Lynch makes her way out to the ring where she is having an interview segment and a moment with Michael Cole. Now Michael's asking her about the Kentucky Derby which she went to, which that's kind of irrelevant. So Michael Cole asks Becky Lynch about some of the new talent that has made their way over to Monday Night Raw since the draft. She has a special mention to Alba Fire, who is actually probably considered one of the longest reigning women's champions across the entirety of WWE. She also mentions Isla Dawn, Lyra Valkyria, and Kiana James. She calls Lyra Valkyria very gifted. She says that Zelina is very hungry and very passionate for what's going to happen, and he starts to talk to her about WrestleMania, but she kind of like pushes it away. She's like, I don't really want to talk about it, like it's not really that much of an issue. When Liv Morgan comes out and she just starts complaining and talking about how she feels insulted and constantly overlooked and underestimated, she goes ahead and lists all of her achievements and accomplishments, and she says that considering that Becky Lynch has been talking a lot, it's blowing her mind that Becky Lynch doesn't have an ounce of respect for her. I mean, what? I don't understand why she would have an ounce of respect for Liv, but hey, that's neither here nor there. It's not my opinion. Becky's like, look, if you had have let me finish, I would have told you that this rematch, this match that you're wanting for my title, you'll get it in 3 weeks when it comes to King and Queen of the Ring. And one thing I want to remind you of is that you have never beaten me before. You said that my purpose has been missing for a very long time, and my purpose is not only to beat you, but it is to beat Rhea Ripley and become the new Women's World Champion. Dakota Kai comes out with the rest of Damage Control and says that Liv has earned absolutely nothing, and that Io has gone ahead and actually won her tournament qualifying match in the Queen of the Ring tournament, and that she is going to do the same, and they are going to prove to everybody who runs Monday Night Raw. Now, there's a moment where it looks like Damage Control are going to ambush both Becky and Liv inside of the ring. There's a moment where Liv and Becky are both like back to back. They look like they're going to go ahead and fight everybody, but Liv rolls out of the ring and she's like, nah, I'm good. Like, this is not my battle to fight. Damage Control start brawling for Becky Lynch, and then we end up seeing Lyra Valkyria run out to make the assist to help Becky Lynch. She kind of looks at Liv Morgan as like, what are you doing? Anyway, I don't really know what's going on with that whole Liv Morgan storyline, but I guess I just have to sit back and wait and see. I'm excited to see what they do. I just need a little bit more of a push for this for me. Then Jackie catches up with Sammy and asks like what happened during that moment, and Sammy's like, look, there's a very personal issue with Chad Gable. This should have been done weeks ago. And now I've got a professional issue with Bronson Reed. He wants the Intercontinental Championship. So we're going to make this a triple threat at King and Queen of the Ring for the Intercontinental Championship. I'm excited. I'm really excited to see this triple threat. I feel like this is going to lead to single matches between Chad and Sammy. So can't wait to see where we go from here. I'm happy that Bronson is going to be on a big event like King and Queen of the Ring as well. I feel like it is well deserved. But back to the ring where we have another women's qualifying match for the King and Queen of the Ring tournament, where we have Dakota Kai taking on Lyra Valkyria. Now this match was really short, but it was a great match nonetheless. Lyra got to show off a lot of her skills that she's been honing in NXT. She starts working Dakota on the floor, and then Lyra ends up kicking Dakota, but Dakota ends up turning it around. After the commercial break, Lyra is in charge, but then we see Dakota hitting her big kicks as she always does, and Lyra hits the Nightwing to come away with the win. So Lyra has now moved on to the next round in the bracket, which super exciting to see. Kofi Kingston is cutting a promo backstage where he's talking about how it was meant to be Xavier Woods winning the King of the Ring for the second year in a row, but Gunther has taken that away, and that Kofi's going to do everything he can to go ahead and win this for him and Xavier as well. Talks about his match with Rey Mysterio and talks about how he's going to be going up against one of the best and that he's going to do everything he can to win this match. We come to the end of Monday Night Raw, where the main event is Gunther against Sheamus for a qualifying spot for the King of the Ring tournament. tournament. Now, I didn't write any notes during this match because I just wanted to be physically present during this match, and they were hyping it up like similar to their WrestleMania match and hyping it up very similar to their Clash at the Castle match. I feel like if you were to put those two matches together and give it a little bit less time, this is exactly what we got on Monday Night Raw. We got really hard hitting action. We got Gunther coming in and just absolutely obliterating Sheamus. We had Sheamus coming in just fighting from the ground up, just absolutely working as incredibly hard as he could. Gunther was hitting so many chops on Sheamus to the point where his back had welted up and you could see his handprint all over his back. Sheamus's chest was bleeding at one point. Like, there was a very physically fought battle. Ludwig obviously came to the assist of Gunther and ended up getting Sheamus's leg stuck in the ropes, and then Gunther saw this and started tackling and capitalizing off the knee. So Sheamus was selling a knee injury during this match, but he obviously was hitting the bro kick, which was affected by the pained knee. Then we got to see him hit the 10 beats, but he actually didn't hit 10, he hit 17. Then obviously when the ref found out that Ludwig did come out and actually help Gunther, he ended up getting ejected from the ring, so he ended up having to leave. But he had done his job enough to the point where Gunther could get Sheamus in the Boston Crab. He held him in that move for a very long time before Sheamus ended up tapping out to Gunther, and Gunther has qualified within the bracket. So he is moving on to the next round. I highly suggest you go and watch this match because I feel like my words do not do it any justice. As I said earlier, I feel like this match and the one with Elia and Ricochet, absolute top matches of the night for me. Like, I feel like this tournament is going to be really good at showcasing talent and giving us some really fresh matchups that we haven't seen in a very long time. Obviously, bar Jey Uso and Finn Balor, but hey, I really want Finn Balor to, start doing well. And that brings us to the end of the Monday Night Raw review for this week. If you guys enjoyed the video, go ahead and show it some love by liking the video. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel while you're there. Turn on the bell icon so you do not miss any of our uploads. You'll get notified straight away when we upload a new review or a podcast. While you're there, go ahead and comment something that you enjoyed about Monday Night Raw this week. And also, you can check out the description where you can find Outcasted on all other social medias, so TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter. You can also find all of our personal social medias so you can keep up to date with what we're doing when we're not posting on here. As always, you've got your regularly scheduled NXT review coming in from Reese this week and the SmackDown review coming in later on in the week as well. We're still finalizing what we're going to be doing for the podcast this week, but like I say, if you subscribe to the channel and you go ahead and follow all of our other socials, you'll be notified before we upload what the podcast will be. You'll know what it is. I'm really looking forward to this week's podcast. I'm not actually too sure if I'm in it, but hey, I'll support the crew nonetheless. If it's a boys episode, all good. I'll see you guys in the next review. Bye, guys.